his first interview since becoming the new White House communications director, Anthony Scaramucci spoke about the need for the White House to get its message out to the heartland.
What we want to do is here are the things that we promised you, and like good business people, we're going to deliver on these promises and try to make the system better.
But Anthony, people are saying he's a street fighter. He's also a self-made businessman. He's a true American success story, as is Donald Trump.
The president will not ultimately be judged by any one staffer in his administration. Americans will judge him based off, does he make their life better, and does he make their life easier?
President Trump is a man of his word. He's a man of action. And thanks to President Donald Trump, America is back, and the world knows it.
The USS Gerald Ford, the largest and most expensive aircraft ever built, was commissioned by the president today in a stunning ceremony in Norfolk, Virginia.
American steel and American hands have constructed a 100,000-ton message to the world. America might is second to none.
I love this song.
What is this? Heavy music for the moment. Is this Despacito?
Oh, this is a great one. And you know what? A reminder that we are going to be staying here on this couch for the next 4 hours.
That's right.
And we hope that you stay with us.
Right. And you barely made it, right?
I woke up an hour ago. This has never happened to me on
Really?
the show.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I did get a
for-
full night's sleep, which is the nice thing.
True.
But my backup alarm went off about an hour ago, and that feeling is the worst.
Here's the problem with that happening.
Thanks for pointing it out, Pete.
I had to. It's happened to me, sometimes over the years. But what that teaches you is that now you're capable of that extra hour of sleep. Yeah. So now you're just going to be like, well, I don't need to get up that extra hour.
Our executive
producer
producer
just
goes,
say,
no, that's not going to fly.
You showed up late one time, right, Clayton, to the show?
Well, New Year's Day. Well, my birthday's New Year's Eve, and I had friends over, and New Year's Day I ended up being a few minutes late.
Didn't they plan a segment where you were just wandering the streets?
Right, I was wandering. But the key is no one's watching on New Year's Day, so that was the beauty of it. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome into Fox and Friends on this Sunday morning. We've got a jam-packed show for you. Kellyanne Conway's going to be up here in a little while, but we want to talk about the new White House communications director, because now he's out there making the rounds, doing some interviews.
Yeah. He is. He's out there. He was out there on radio yesterday. He's going to be talking on some shows today as well. And he's putting the focus on. He's saying we're going to put the focus back on the agenda, specifically the border wall. This is what he had to say.
I know the president has it in his budget. I know this is one of his campaign promises that he is on missile lock to keep. Matt, we have a list of campaign promises that are up on Steve Bannon's wall, and we're going right through those campaign promises, and so that we can tell the American people that we're citizen politicians or citizen public servants. We're not career politicians or establishment players that just want to sit in Washington and milk the system. What we want to do is here are the things that we promised you, and like good business people, we're going to deliver on these promises and try to make the system better. So the wall is at the top of the list for the president, and so I can assure you that it's going to get done.
Interesting.
I love that. He said that Steve Bannon, one of the top advisors to President Trump, has a wall in his, or I guess a list on his wall in his office.
Like a whiteboard.
Like a whiteboard, and they check off things that they promised along the way during the campaign, and since then, and things that they are getting done, and things that they still need to get done.
Is there any other barometer you'd want from someone you elect? You want someone who runs on a platform, you elect them, and then they actually do what they're going to say, as opposed to forgetting all that and then doing whatever Washington wants. There literally is a list. In fact, 2 of them, and you can see check marks next to it if they've done it or haven't done it. That's the kind of focus you want, and certainly the border wall is at the top.
You know what I love? One of the check marks was get Cheez-Its in the White House commissary. Check. Fantastic.
That is your favorite guilty pleasure,
that's my
isn't
favorite. Add that to the commissary. Meanwhile, Kellyanne Conway is going to be on Fox and Friends Weekend 8:30 this morning. But, it's interesting when you think about that list, right? How much of it can you rely on Congress to get done?
Right.
And so many, executive orders that they've already pulled through with energy regulations and things like that. It'd be amazing to see that list and how many of those check marks have nothing to do with Congress.
Well, Scaramucci, he spoke to that actually as well in this interview, and he talked about his new role and how important it is to get the messaging better, particularly when it comes to Congress. He said, look, we haven't done the best job we can when it comes to health care. Now we've got to get tax reform done. And so he actually talked about his role and how he hopes to help Congress be able to communicate to the American people. He said, I don't want it to be a partisan thing. I want to talk about this to the American people, how it's good for the country.
Yeah, well,
that was refreshing.
It is refreshing, but Washington is a very partisan town, and the swamp is going to be unusually busy this August because they're staying in to try to get things done in healthcare, maybe
so nice
move
of them.
tax reform. Yeah, why don't they maybe try to do that? Well, you wouldn't know it, though, if you looked at a lot of the coverage yesterday of what people were actually talking about Anthony Scaramucci. It wasn't about the agenda. It wasn't about the border wall. It was about tweets.
Right. So people were saying, like, hey, I'm going through Anthony Scaramucci, because a lot of people didn't know who he was. I mean, they knew him from television a little bit, but once you get elevated to this position, people are going to say, well, who is this guy, right? You see New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal with, who is Anthony Scaramucci? So people are going through his Twitter stream the other day, and they started noticing that tweets were just disappearing. Like, 1 second there was a tweet, the next minute it's kind of deleted. Stuff that he had said in the past about President Trump, then then candidate Trump, and different positions on gun control and different things that he supported. Those tweets just started.
But to which he's been very transparent about, which I think I can also say that's refreshing because we don't often see that with the communications director. He responded yesterday in a tweet. He said, full transparency here. I'm deleting old tweets. Past views evolved and shouldn't be a distraction. I serve the President of the United States agenda, and that is all that matters. But that did not fly with many in the mainstream media who went nuts over that.
Yeah, that's right. Here's a couple of headlines we tracked up yesterday. The Washington Post said, read Anthony Scaramucci's old tweets. You'll understand why he deleted them. Huffington Post, Anthony Scaramucci deletes tweets at odds with Trump, then says he's being transparent. Things do live forever on the internet. That's true.
Have you guys ever deleted a tweet before? Because I have.
I have only when I've misspelled something.
Or have you ever said something that you wish that you could have said differently, or done something in your life you wish you could have handled differently? I mean, we're all human beings, and I think to his point, it's I want to be the most productive that I can be in this new role, and I admire that. I think that the media should also say, hey, we try to do that in our jobs too. How many times do they have to retract a story or change it because they made some sort of mistake? Sure. You know, I mean,
but just, I mean, I don't know. I'm of a different mind about it. I mean, the internet lives on forever, so everyone had these tweets anyway. The Internet Archive, everyone was able to say, yeah, you delete them, that's fine. We already have them. But why even bother deleting them? Just, yeah, my views evolved. Great. Why do I have to go back and delete them all?
I guess you can understand that impulse, though, to say, hey, this is I serve the president. The president has an agenda. He had some different views on guns and climate change and things like that. Why let that, get rid of it? I know who I serve and why I'm serving him, and that's going to be the focus. So you can understand, because it does live forever, it's going to be there no matter what.
But he also has, there's video of him doing television shows where he says this stuff.
It's the hyperventilating of the mainstream media, though, where they're like, oh, look at his tweets. Look at his tweets. We found his tweets. It's like, no, that's not what matters here.
So
Can he get the job done?
It's an interesting point, though, Clay, and I think you have people on different sides of this point of view, but Dan Bongino came to his defense on Twitter as well. He said Scaramucci deletes personal tweets, libs lose their minds, and then he says this. He says Hillary deletes 30,000 emails on a legal server. Libs nominate her for the President of the United States. It's just an interesting irony there when you think about deleting things and the importance of maybe a past tweet that Scaramucci had that disagreed with the President versus 30,000 emails that really could have put this country in a dangerous position.
I just think you call more attention to it when you start deleting it.
Potentially.
Just, he's got an opinion. Who cares?
But the better argument, things that matter versus things that don't matter. What someone tweeted 3 years ago is different than emails that you intentionally deleted in the process.
Well, this is where the media wants to spend its weekend because it's the doldrums of summer right now. They're also spending their time talking about pardons and whether or not the president is about to go on a pardoning tirade. Here's what the media outlets are saying about pardon. Watch.
This new question tonight: could the president pardon himself or his family?
The president's new press secretary seems to leave the door open.
With this whole talk of pardons in the first place, that speaks to a guilty conscience. You're basically saying that you've committed a crime that you want to be pardoned for.
I heard a television lawyer tonight say people who are innocent don't ask about the power of the pardon.
Well, it continued in print as well. So here's some headlines for yesterday about pardoning. The New York Times, Trump says he has complete power to pardon. Politico magazine says, yes, Trump could pardon himself, then all hell would break loose. Well, why this coverage and why these headlines? Well, the president tweeted this yesterday. He said, while all agree the U.S. president has the complete power to pardon, why think of that when only crime is so far is leaks against us, fake news. So the thing is again, it's the hyperventilation about the fact that, well, because he tweeted this one thing, he must be looking to pardon himself. Is he going to pardon himself? Can he pardon himself? And they go on breathlessly about pardon, like Russia, without any evidence. Seriously, it's like President Trump's got his laser pointer out again.
But what's he doing?
He's lasing and the cats are jumping at him.
I mean, it's the same thing with like the leaks, hope they're not tapes tweet, right, with James Comey. It's like, well, what does that even mean?
It just leaves, I think, people confused, and a lot of people say, you know, President Trump needs to keep tweeting because we love that he has that voice, and the fact that the media jumps on him, we like him all the more for that. But the other side of it is, it leaves the American people, to your point, a little bit confused as to what is behind it. Is there more behind those tweets that we need to be aware of? Like, is he thinking about pardoning people? Or to your point, if there are leaks, that's something we need to look more into.
Maybe. I mean, I just don't think the American people are confused. I think the liberal media that likes to take things literally when they want to and then figuratively when they don't want to jumps at topics and hyperventilates because they want to find something to talk about, usually that focuses on themselves. But if you look at the actual truth, by the way, the AP reported that one of President Trump's personal lawyers has said that Trump's private legal team is not looking into the question of whether the president can pardon himself. Jay Sekulow reported that. We're not researching it because it is not an issue. So his team says we're not looking into self-pardon, but the media immediately goes there as if that's what he's talking about because he must have to do that.
Well, we're going to ask Kellyanne Conway about that when she comes on the show.
And many other things.
And many other things.
But we have other headlines.